Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Well, as always, it's a great honor, great privilege that we have this opportunity, that we can spend this time with each other. Sometimes we don't realize or accept or acknowledge that we have a soul. It's a very simple thing. Sometimes we don't recognize it or see it within ourselves or have a relationship of the understanding that we have a soul, right? That we have that depth within us. When we come into this life, we come with samskaras. Those samskaras means those past, right? So we say, well, in the past life I felt this, or past life. These are called samskaras. That's samskaras that we bring into this life with us, right? And that comes from those experience of whatever is that evolution of your soul through whatever phases and lifetimes and experiences and evolvement, not always here in this physical plane, that comes into you, that is imprinted. These sanskaras are imprinted into you, into each of us, and they're imprinted in the soul. The soul body has the imprint of those sanskaras, those things, those experiences and procedures and revolutions of the soul. There's in many different forms, many, not just here in a physical plane form, but as an evolution of many cycles of experience, right? That the soul merges through and goes through. So we come into this life, and that's imprinted in the soul body of ours, right? And then when we walk in this life, we walk with what we call the karma of this life. So those two aspects are imprinted into the soul. The samskaras, that which we bring in, and the karmas, that which we do, that which carries us through. So when the relationship we have with the soul of ourselves, that deeper part within us, and we have that relationship of that within us to carry us through this life and to understand it in relationship to this entire environment in which we live, finite and infinite form, then we walk the path of the Dharma, right? So three aspects. Then one, I said, samskaras, that which we bring in, the karmas, that which we produce as we carry into this life, and the Dharma, the goal of the soul to achieve its destiny, right? To achieve its destination. And it's a spiritual destination which we all receive, we all achieve to. And we achieve to that spiritual destination, and it's individual for each of us, how we feel about it, what that means to us, how that's interpreted within us, how that's expressed within us, is all personal. It's all within ourselves. So the relationship of that starts with the recognition that I am that being, I am that soul. I am all those things, all those parts of me. And we express them unconsciously. We go through this life. I mean, now we're at certain ages where we've had experiences, we have context, we have exposure to what I'm teaching this evening. We have exposure to that through your many different experiences. But when we were young, we didn't know what that was. But it was just through intuitive consciousness, intuitive awareness, the intuition of the soul itself, which guides us into a certain path of life. So depending upon what those karmas are, what you create in those phases of your life, will affect what is the outcome of that dharma, what is the outcome of the walking of the destiny to reach that destination. Because it's a simple fact that we come here and at some time we depart. We don't last forever. So whatever that cycle of our time is that we exist here on this planet, in this form, which is governed by many different factors, and factors we don't have control over. We didn't come born to this life, said, okay, COVID is going to happen. These kinds of things are going to happen. But as they happen, and as it's part of our individual history through the development of our time frame, which shall go beyond just this physical form when we leave this body, shall go on again, right? That continues in some cycle. Whether it comes back or not, we don't have control of that, or whether it just evolves onward into whatever phase that soul moves to. So we talk about, Guru Nanak Dev Ji talked about being liberated here now, while we live, so that we don't have to continually go on with the cycle of birth and death. So what that simply means is that if we can accomplish in this lifetime a dharmic recognition of our own soul through our spiritual practices, then the evolution of that doesn't have to repeat this life. The evolution of that will go on into whatever other form it may have to take. And many of those forms, in the Sikh scripture says 8.4 million lifetimes of reincarnations to reach this time in your life where you can liberate yourself from that. It said half are spent in the ocean, in the water, half are spent on the land. So we have so much that we bring in. So it starts, though, when we have that simple relationship to that understanding and recognize the soul within ourselves and recognize the soul within each other and look at that and understand it. So I have a deeper understanding of myself, which is an ongoing process for me. I don't know about the rest of you, but certainly is an ongoing process for me. And as that process grows deeper within inside of myself, and that relationships become stronger, then my relationship with you becomes stronger. So through my eyes, we see through the eyes the soul of another person and relate to that. And relating to our own soul is simply relating to our greatness. By watching our karma, watching those actions, and becoming more aware of what it is that we've brought into this life. Naturally, we get drawn. How did we get drawn? How did I get drawn to this path? How did somebody get drawn to music? This person loves to dance. This one loves to write. This loves to use the mind in a very mathematical way. This has the intuition of understanding of certain rhythms of sound and currents. We each have something that is deeply there within us that naturally becomes expressed. And naturally, we want to live it. We want to discover it, nurture it, and live it. Right? Is that not true? I know we're stuck in certain jobs, in certain circumstances, certain confines and that say, well, if I could only get free of that, I could live this. Because we go through this life not understanding our soul and not letting the soul lead us in that way, but letting the karmas lead us in that way. And then we have to backtrack that. That's why it said that being rooted at the feet, the lotus feet of God, of light, of the infinite, of Guru, to be at the lotus feet, right? Kamala Charan means that, Kamala means that lotus, Charan means the feet, that at the feet of that, then we are guided naturally into the rhythm of our soul. That's why we strive for a spiritual practice, why we strive for a meditative practice. Why all those things come to us, why we want to be more attached to that than we are attached to emotions and commotions, to be attached to the devotion. And the soul has an urge to merge into that. When we say, what does the soul have? An urge to merge and a longing to belong. Every human being has an urge to merge and has a longing to belong. It's natural within us. We want to merge. We want to merge in the infinite. We want to merge into each other. We want to merge into the infinite aspect of God itself, which resides within the soul of each of us. When we understand that that resides within us, is not outside, somebody's going to show you that, is inside, is going to be revealed. What is that prayer? Dear Lord, God, Guru, reveal to me that which is unto myself, so that I may expand and blossom forth. That's what's written in the scripture. Those exact words. So that that understanding can become deeper, so that my path can be carved in a pure way, in a light way, in an easy way. And that's the perfect, but is not always achieved. And we go through those processes in life, and sometimes we have to go through many lives and separations in this life to come to that place that says, okay, now that relationship with my soul becomes that which is my priority. And I'll connect with the soul of others, because that will sustain me. And I'll connect to my spiritual practice so that I never am separated from that soul of self. It's not outside of me. It's inside of me. And the relationship from the soul which is inside of me, that life force that brings in all those past experiences and is merged today to carry me to whatever that destination is in that destiny that I want to achieve. To that I make my devotion today, because that I know is what's going to sustain me. And merge with others in that relationship, because that will sustain that relationship. That's when we say those pillars are know yourself, love yourself, trust yourself, and be yourself. That's where those 4 pillars come from. To have the manifestation of the realization of the clarification of your own personification of that which is you inside of you for now and forever. And when you live that, in my belief, you shine. That's the jot, that's the light of the heart. That's the lantern of the heart. And the lantern of our heart is lit through the relationship of the soul and its understanding of its entire universal nature to expand us in life. And that becomes that torch of the soul, the torch of the heart. The lantern, I call it the lantern of the heart. Light the lantern of your heart, Jyoti Jyot. That is where the Jyot, the light of the heart, is lit through the lamp of Gurbani, is lit through the lamp of meditation. Don't we sit sometimes, so many have said, I'm sitting, I'm meditating, and I can smell an incense, but nothing is burning. There's a beautiful rose, a lavender, a beautiful aroma that I can sense around me, but nothing is burning, nothing. I didn't light toof, I didn't light incense. How many times, many of you have experience of that. And that's called the singing of the heart, the Anahata. The Anahat is when the heart sings, because inside that unstruck sound of the universe is struck. And everything, every sense that we have, smell, of taste, of sight, all of that, hearing what we hear, all of it becomes illuminated within us, and we become vibrantly radiant. So I'm just sharing a little bit of that structure of that. So to understand, that's how I understood it, that's how I learned it, how I was taught about it, how I was given the gift of the knowledge. To share that knowledge of understanding is only to share. I know less than anybody, really. I only know that my soul has a simple calling, and I search to answer what is that call. That's all I know. And I continually search it to understand. But I know that if that lamp of the heart is lit, and that my soul is radiant to that understanding and expression, then I can find a peacefulness within myself. That peacefulness has to start within me. And no matter what the situation, no matter what flows around us, still that peace of heart has to be found. And that calmness of the soul needs to be experienced and realized. That's the power of Angsang Vaheguru. God in me is God everywhere. There's no separation from that. And that's why I devoted to a spiritual practice, a way of living that resonated with me to help to carry me through the thick and the thin of this life. So that when I do go off course, I have what I call a corrector. There's a touchstone. There's that which can correct me and put me back onto that path. We all sway from it. There's not one who doesn't. But we have that corrector that corrects it and puts it back onto that track. You're riding your bicycle. Sometime you ride that bicycle and the chain comes off, and you stop and you go around a few times. You put the chain back on and you keep on your journey and you get to where you need to be. And that's the same in life. Sometimes it goes off those spokes, those things, and then you have to put it back on, but you keep on cycling. You don't stop. Tire gets flat, we change it, we plug it in and fill it up, and we're back on the road again. Same thing. And we're good. And sometimes that comes through patience, self-understanding, and self-forgiveness. Forgiving your own self and moving forward in this life would move forward with consciousness. I can't change what I did yesterday. I wish I was so powerful that I could change what I did yesterday, but I can't. And I can live today as I'm living in this moment of time, and I can be better in my tomorrow. And no matter how we see it, there's gloom and doom, this and world, we know. But I also know that it's predicted, it shall happen, the alignment is happening, and this world shall come to a place of peace and tolerance and nurturing. I know and I trust. I won't see it in my lifetime, maybe several generations. And it will be several generations. Our children's children, children, children. But we are part of the children of the children of the children of the children. We are also that. And that will continue on, and it shall happen that we shall inherit and have a world of peace, tolerance, and acceptance of all people. It shall be. It has to happen. Is written to happen. Is predicted to happen. The Mayan calendar, yes, that ended at that time, but then the future of that Mayan calendar was saying that the world shall be different. And that was the next phase of what was to be the Mayan calendar. So yes, it did end at that particular time, in that cycle, because the new cycle had to be fulfilled, and that new cycle would be created by the new generations. And that is the fulfillment. Our prayer is that those who have certain command over certain world resources don't blow the whole thing before we get to that point. That's our prayer. So we're just that vessel of this time. That's why it's important to give our young people, young adults, the teachings of understanding what their exact role is during this time and how to move through it. So today I'm just sharing this little bit of understanding of how the soul of ours reaches its destination, what brings into this life when we're born through it, and how we travel along it so that we keep up, keep going, continue to have hope, and share the message of life and light and peace to all people, to everyone. Share that message of light and peace to everyone. And those future generations shall inherit a world of peace, prosperity, and abundance for all people, everyone. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.